Sup creeps, and welcome back to the After Dark live stream. I've missed you. I've missed your creepy faces, and I'm ready for all of us to meet tonight's guest. If you're new here, I'm Noelle. I am the weirdo Wisconsinite of Creepy Confidential. I talk about cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy. But tonight, the After Dark live stream is a time for me and a guest to just chat about things that are creepy. Before we start our night, I want to say thank you for joining us this evening, for being members on our Patreon. And I just asked, if you're here and you like what you see, if you could subscribe, maybe leave us a comment. We're going to be taking comments and questions throughout the show. And I would love to know that you're out there so that we can connect. Also, I want to thank our Patreon subscribers. It's such a great place to have extra perks that are for Patreon only. And for Creepy Confidential, it helps kind of keep the lights on and help us with a lot of the things behind the scenes. So for our Creep Nation subscribers, you get all kinds of exclusive goodies. So I would highly recommend checking that out. Our Patreon member information is in the kind of description of the video. So you can absolutely check it out, see if you like what you see, and subscribe and be part of the Creep Nation. I look forward to seeing you guys over there. But tonight, Creepy Confidential welcomes Dr. Greg Popovich. He's a mask maker, a prop maker, and the curator and creator of Dr. Jekyll's Institute of Monster Studies. He's shown artistic tendencies, I guess, from an early age, and he loved classic monster shows and movies and kind of always had that magic marker in his hand really to create something. He was fascinated by human anatomy, and when you see his creations, I'm promising you, you're going to really be able to put, oh my gosh, how can you create that? And this is amazing together. So very, very cool. Now, during the pandemic, Greg used his time to marry his love of classic monsters and Halloween and his creative inclinations and began studying mask and prop making. Now, his creations have proven to be popular at various conventions and have appeared at the Strawberry Festival Grand Feature Parade, as well as his grafted monster creation and his suit was named in the top 10 creature designs in the 2025 Stan Winston School of Character Arts. Now, if you aren't familiar with Stan Winston, they're responsible for the effects on Aliens, The Thing, Edward Scissorhands, and more. So absolutely something to check out. So grab a snack, grab your favorite creepy beverage, and let's get on to the show.
Sup creeps, and welcome to Creepy Confidential. Is Mothman really a supernatural force predicting impending doom? Did Apollo 11 really land on the moon in 1969? Did you find out if that was a cult that was living just 2 doors down that you waved to every single day when you got your mail? If these are the things you ponder when you should be sleeping, then I would like to welcome you to Creepy Confidential. I'm your host, Noelle, your resident weirdo Wisconsinite. I open case files on my favorite cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy, with new cases, live broadcasts, and local lore. Some stories have been lost with time. Others are perhaps still happening today in your local communities, right up under your very creepy noses. So get ready, creeps. It's Creepy Confidential.
Sup creeps, and please welcome Dr. Popovich. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I am stoked to have you. Now, before we kind of get going with all the nitty gritty, I want to give a little introduction. Now, let's spotlight here because you're like me. I kind of lead two worlds. I think that's how I like to say it. During the day, I have a muggle job. And then when I'm not at said job, I create, or read or what have you. So can you kind of tell us, are you that Clark Kent as well?
I am, although the two things have begun to bleed together over the years. I'm a physical therapist by training, and my preparation there kind of got me ready for all the anatomy and those kind of creative approaches to building monsters and whatnot. But as a professor, which is my day gig now, I try to, remind my students how important creativity and expressing oneself is. And so generally they're pretty receptive. And needless to say, when we have our annual Halloween costume contest at the college, oftentimes I do score myself a nice little gift certificate or something. So membership has its privileges.
Yes. I love that. And I also do that as well. So I'm at the VA, and they have a Halloween contest. And when I started, I think my version of Halloween as a previous haunt actor and lover is quite more dramatic. So 2 years in a row, I've taken that title.
I saw your one last year was especially impressive. I just remember I was very taken by it. I think were you zombified? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I did a corpse bride, and I feel like it melded. I started out where the paint, she was a little more like glossy and lovely, and then once I got all the way to when I went for the, like, at the very end at Halloween, I was like full on almost Exorcist meets corpse bride.
But you get scarier as the time went on.
Yeah, I was like decay kind of set in, and yeah. But I think you're always picking at creations. Do you do that with yours?
What do they say? Art is never finished, only abandoned. So I'm always looking for ways to improve things. I'm my own worst critic. I guess currently, though, I've had enough projects ongoing that I never really get a chance to double back and go correct or try to improve. So maybe that's a good thing that I'm not constantly fiddling.
Right.
But I'm always moving on to the next crisis or the next project, the next deadline.
Yeah. So I like that. That we have that artsy side, but we also have a science side. So that's pretty cool. Now, I want to talk about how we met, which I think is interesting as well. It's been a while. Now, I don't know if you recall, but we were at Fashnacht.
Sure.
And we met, and we got to see one of your creations. And actually, here, I want to pull up a picture of it. It's on the flyer, and it's this one, this like hermit crab.
Oh, was I the crab that year? Okay.
Yeah, you were the crab.
What I was.
And
you don't see a giant crab all that often, do you?
No, and I didn't see the front of it. When we walked up, all we saw was kind of the back side of it, where he has like that cart that's on the back of him.
Right.
And you were like gearing up to go in your outfit, and then all of a sudden, you popped you had like all the gear on you. It was incredible.
It's a fun one.
It is so fun, and the paint job on that thing is outstanding.
Thank you. I was looking really forward to the paint on that one, just because it's more colorful. It was inspired by mutated hermit crab in Fallout 76, the video game, but I wanted to make it even a little more colorful, like hermit crabs actually are. I was really looking forward to that. But that's what happens when you're locked in your house during a pandemic. So for 2 years,
you really turned up the juice.
That just basically took over our kitchen, and my girlfriend Christy was resenting me, I think. But anyway, I'm pleased with the end result.
Now it is a Fallout character, and I feel like there is a lot of Fallout Fashnacht characters, because it happens in the game. Have you ever played Fallout? I'm just curious.
Okay, this is going to surprise some listeners, especially because I know some of my friends are watching. I watch the other half of Dr. Jekyll's Institute of Monster Studies. Dr. Henson, my significant other, I watch her play, and then I find inspiration in the characters in the game. But I always joke with people, I'm like, well, how would I be making something if I've got a joystick in my hand or controller in my hand? So yeah. But I think the art is fantastic and so over the top creative. So I always, in fact, I think the 3 characters you happen to select for our promo, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were all inspired by Fallout. Yeah, these are all various takes on Fallout characters.
The Mothman character, I think it's something you can collect because it's like a cult.
Yeah, they make a miniature one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I loved your Grafton.
Oh, thank you.
It's because he's always kind of looks like a melting blob, I think, in all the representations. Yours, there's like muscles and bone and tendon.
I think that's why I wanted to do him, as the physical therapist in me was like, oh, I know this is my world,
Yeah.
So I
Let me show
used,
you really what it would look like.
I used bodybuilding reference pictures and things like that for the exaggerated musculature and the striations and whatnot. So that one took a while too. I think I have about 1,000 hours in that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Made that and that's whose little fingers we see behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little fungal infection on his nails that he's been battling. But
what is that, Lamictal or whatever? He needs it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's for your liver.
Little goblins.
Good for your nails.
Well, I love that. And I think now the Mothman we see his little eyes above you there. Now, that is your kind of a recent creation, correct?
Yes, that one I completed not long ago at all. And then, of course, I jumped headlong into another project as soon as I got done with that one.
Right.
So we have a lot of
that's how the nerd do.
Yeah, we have a lot of target dates this summer, and so we wanted to have some new things to share with people. So that's kind of the impetus for just grinding away and making things right now.
Yeah, I love that. Now, with your characters, I'm gonna we wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that I talked about this too. With the Dr. Jekyll's, I'm gonna pull it up here. There it goes. Dr. Jekyll's Institute of Monster Studies. Now, can you tell us a little more about this? I think you would give a way better introduction about it than I would.
Sure. Well, I will certainly try. It's the brainchild, actually, of my other half. And so Christy Henson conceived of this. Her background is actually in anthropology and archaeology and museum studies and all that. And so she envisioned basically two things. One would be a brick and mortar museum, which is forthcoming. And then the other one would be kind of a traveling pop-up museum, almost like an old school carnival, full of various kinds of attractions, fake taxidermy or historically relevant monster figures. And so we kind of have a couple different flavors of pop-up that we can do based on what type of venue we're appearing at. So it can just be straight up classic horror, or it can be Fallout and apocalyptic themed. So yeah. And we're learning on the fly. Like that. We just had our first couple events in the books this year.
Well, and for the listeners as well, I have made sure to put the information for this project in the comments, in the actual description box, so that you have another page to follow, because you really got to see this traveling museum. The pictures I've seen, it is really cool. I hope that I can hit one of your events that you're doing here.
Well, I hope so. There's something else we'd like to do too, as we're both science professors, is there will be an educational component to Christy's forensic science courses that she's put on for kids before have always been immensely popular and sell out. So we'll have an educational component.
Very, very cool. I like those. I think when you just walk by, I don't know, you see kind of like, I'd like to mention, I always use the analogy, like the rat who wants the pellet. Oh, I've seen it. Okay. And I move on. I love when you can actually learn about the who, what, when, where, whys of what you're seeing. So that'll be very cool. I'm sure you'll be posting that up whenever that comes up. Now, I think I briefly mentioned it, or we were talking about Halloween. I can't remember if it was before or during. As a haunt actor, I really enjoy creating creepy characters. Now, I haven't been a haunt actor for a long time, but that's what sparked all of it. I love haunted houses, the art behind them. And we were talking about Distortions Unlimited, and the animatronics are a huge part of those. Have you ever considered creating creatures like that on a horror scale? Because you can do it. Your creatures are scary.
Animatronic ones, are we talking?
Yeah, making the Grafton like an animatronic.
So I would say the engineering component would be my Achilles heel. Now, I could probably do it in collaboration with somebody. I know some talented people that do that type of work. Or maybe it's something I acquire. There's a lot of these things I wasn't able to do 5 years ago. I'd never operated an airbrush, you know what I mean? So it's been a steep learning curve. So I guess I won't rule out learning how to do some electronics as well.
Because that would be stellar.
I'll
I
leave
just
that.
from my
I'll leave
point
that
of view.
open. It'd be fun. Yeah, it'd be fun to have them certainly more dynamic, so that when someone's not in the suit, they can still entertain.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Like a multifunctional. It's either a
Right.
suit or, you just see these crazy ones where they have all kinds of animatronics and then they have gas and the shaking and everything. It just
Right.
makes them terrifying. But I think like a cryptid version of that. Oh, I
I'm
just
taking baby. I'm taking baby steps. I got to tell you, I'm really happy. So one of the challenges in the grafted monster suit is my visual field is extremely limited because his eyes are these recessed
they're like,
holes and they're very far in front of me.
yeah,
So I can only see straight ahead. And of course, at the Grafted Monster Festival, you get a lot of children that run up on you, which is really, I think of the Grafted Monster as this friendly cryptid liaison who reaches out to the community and
yep.
spreads joy. But I don't want to, I don't want to step on a child, but they're outside my visual field. So I got a camera system. It's actually the kind of camera system you use in your automobile to watch your child that's strapped into a car seat. And
Okay.
so I'm going to give him like a little umbilicus, and then his belly button will be the camera. And then I'll have a screen inside the suit. So I can either look out my eye holes straight ahead, or if I want to look down, I look at the monitor, which
Very
will give
cool.
me, yeah. So I'm kind of excited. I think that'll make me a lot more mobile. And I know I'll be more comfortable wading through, crowds of people because I'll know that there's not a little one in front of me.
Right. If you accidentally, end up kicking somebody.
No, right there. There you go. Have your child. It was
They
monster.
They use this camera in paranormal investigations, like called a 360 camera, and but I guess it would probably have to be mounted more like somewhere up on its head somewhere. But then it literally you'd have a complete 360 from the outside. I don't know how you would manage that, but it'd be a cool idea if you could get it to work.
Yeah, didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah, I'm in the weird nerdy cameras and such. I wanted to make sure that you saw this. You have someone who said, and they both are wonderful individuals to nerd community as well. Christy and Greg are both gifted at everything they do.
Well, it's awfully
so I wanted to make sure, because this turns into an audio podcast. So I like to make sure I read comments so that people that are listening later or maybe can't watch, they make sure they see the comments that come. So cool. I wanted to know about the monsters and the animatronics. Now, on the other side, because you mentioned monster movies. Now, movies are used constantly with and around Creepy Confidential. When I do my paranormal lectures, I use movies for every example so that people can absorb it, I think, a little better. At that pop culture reference around Creepy Confidential. Now, the movies, I think, are sometimes what inspire us as well as a kid to be interested in things,
for sure,
kind of uncommon subjects. And I always want to know which ones like our guests have seen or can remember that really seem to stick with them. Do you have any that really you remember?
There's so many, but yeah, so I certainly remember, because watching classic monster movies with my dad was one of our pastimes. But in our era, it was before we owned a VCR, and so it was basically you had to wait for Halloween season and wait for some old reruns to come on. But the classic Universal monsters, of course, Frankenstein probably being my favorite among the bunch. But then Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 1948.
Oh, that's a great one.
I watched, and I watch with my kids every year. Like it's a tradition, just as it was with my dad and I. But it was the perfect blend of comedy and horror with all the classic monsters. And I think it was the first time they'd ever been assembled quite like that. And Bela Lugosi got to be Dracula for just the second time in his career. A lot of people forget that. They always associate Bela Lugosi with having been Dracula. He only got to play it twice. And in the meantime, he unfortunately battled a morphine addiction, which kind of kept him out of the limelight to an extent. But I progressed from that to a few things. An American Werewolf in London.
That's a good one too.
It blew my mind.
The transformation.
I probably watched that at a very premature age.
Me too.
But it was awesome.
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead, 1985. And then, in addition to those three films, which were very influential, there was also Tom Savini. I'm sure you're familiar with Tom Savini, special effects artist.
Yeah.
Of course, he's chosen to stay in the Pittsburgh area basically his entire life, and he's had his film career based out of Pittsburgh. And hour and a half, 2 hours south of there. So it always blew my mind growing up that there's this guy just up the interstate, who's famous and
creating these crazy
creating a
things.
revolution in special effects and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's always been a delight. For example, the Monroeville Mall is featured in Dawn of the Dead, and I'd go shopping there as a kid. Sometimes we go Christmas shopping at that mall. So there's been those tangents as well. And I think the exposure to Tom Savini got me very interested in learning more, about special effects. And really, if I had to do it all over again, if his school, because he has a 2-year program, if his school had existed at the time that I was of that age, it might have been something I really considered, attending.
Yeah, those are great examples. And like I'm an 83 model, so I feel like I'm almost a Gen Xer, but
you
I
look
don't
great for
think that's my
83.
usual.
I'm kidding.
I love the same movies that are from a good time, from the good time. Like you still you still didn't have a VCR, you maybe had a microwave, you maybe it was that. Yeah.
And those microwaves, remember, they would kill you too.
Yeah.
Don't approach if you have a pacemaker. That was a great
probably
thing.
explains my tremor.
Well,
I'm just saying.
That's a great thing about growing up in the 80s. Everything will kill you.
Stick your face there, yeah. But I'm lucky enough to still understand those references and know exactly what they are, and they're references that I carry with me too. So those are great examples, I think, in my opinion.
Well, I'm glad you like them.
not that it matters, but I'm just telling you.
We can be friends.
Yeah, right. We can be friends. Yeah, I think I have seen creatures show up in your stuff a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of paranormal, or that you've talked about paranormal when it comes. Well, anything that's odd is considered paranormal, but I'm talking about ghosts specifically, or things of that nature. Do you have interest, or have you ever had experience with anything like that?
I haven't had a personal experience, but we're about due for another field trip. So we have a very large paranormal attraction close to our house, and that is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Western West Virginia.
Oh, I want to go to that.
That's just 15 miles from our house. And I take one of my classes, I take a psychology class every year so they can see the roots, if you will, of psychiatric treatment. And have a good friend over there that does paranormal research. And of course, every TV series, that investigates ghosts has been over there. So I haven't gone down that road myself personally. I keep an open mind, but like they say, not so open that my brains fall out. So I'm somewhere. I'm
right. We're keeping it in there somehow.
I'm paracurious. Is that a word?
Yeah. Oh, yes. We use that quite frequently in the field. I think, so I've been investigating for 17 years. I've been actually researching for 20. So that's my bread and butter, if you will. That's where I really nerd out. So I'm always curious if anybody, have you seen an apparition, or have you ever heard voices, but sounds like you've never had an experience. Not yet.
No, only the voices in my head, but you've got to get over to the asylum.
And they'll fix you right up,
You walk away, I'm sure, with a lot of stories. I'll tell you what, though, I did have. Would you like to hear a true story?
Well, of course I would.
Okay, here we go. I mean, I could also tell you lies, but I'll tell you a true story.
We'll figure it out.
Story. So I think it might have been our first tour over at the asylum, and I had a student with me. And he had ridden over with me. He didn't have his own transportation, so I gave him a ride in my car. And as we were standing there, and the tour had not been going on long at all, and I saw him out the corner of my eye literally jump sideways. And I turned and I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he said, something cold reached out and grabbed my leg. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And what was interesting, too, is he was from another country, and he didn't really know the background of this building. He didn't know any of the expectations or its paranormal reputation or anything. And so that was curious. And so we got back. Eventually, the tour concluded. We got back in my vehicle, and he was sitting in the back seat. We were having a pleasant conversation about the trip and everything. And then mid-conversation, I asked him a question, and he didn't respond. And I thought, he didn't hear me. So I asked him again. No response. I look in my rearview mirror, just passed out cold. And it was weird because we were in the middle of a conversation. So we get to the back to sleep. Yeah, or comatose or catatonic or something, or someone. So we get back to the college, and he walked into somebody's office, and the fax machine just started malfunctioning right off the bat when he walked in. And then it all concluded with him starting to vomit violently at some point thereafter, right? So I was told after that field trip, you can't take our top students anymore and get them possessed, because that's
that's not part of the tour.
right. So anyway,
that
wasn't my own experience, but it was a bizarre experience associated with one of my students.
Of something happening. That's wild. I mean, I've been doing
any one of those
a long
things
time.
Any one of those things would be odd, but just for them all to be compiled all in the course of a day, that was bizarre.
That's why, and especially a lot of, I'll say there are nationalities that believe that if you look for the paranormal or you believe in the paranormal, that it's like evil, essentially it's bad, even if you're just curious about it. So I'm always, do they still have these experiences if indeed was one of those nationalities or cultures or countries? So I mean, I don't think the ghosts care. They're going to do it no matter what. And I'm like super science. I'm not like I don't do the mediums or anything like that. I'm just trying to have parameters and prove it. But that's crazy though. The poor kid didn't know what he was up against.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's been almost 20 years. He still talks to me, fortunately, so that's good.
Yeah, he's not like, this guy brought on some bad mojo. I don't want to be anywhere near him. Graduate the class and get me out of here. Now, so it seems like you get to these categories. It's crazy that I get a lot of people that have never seen a ghost, they've never seen an alien, they've never seen a cryptid, and then you get some people that have seen them all. So that's again why I'm kind of curious. So moving on from kind of that paranormal to another type of paranormal is aliens or extraterrestrials, because I think that can kind of be combined with a lot of these things. I'll ask with the first thing: have you ever seen like a UFO, a UAP, or potentially a being, or do you believe?
I think I look at it from a scientific perspective of, based on statistical probability. I would hate to think that we're the most highly evolved species, because I know how dumb I am. And I figured there could well be something.
I have a similar outlook. Yeah.
There could well be something, something out there. And I don't know, if we'll ever know or be able to prove it, just because some of these things are so distant from us that, that makes it, I think, kind of improbable outside of like time travel or something of that nature. I haven't had a personal incident other than there was a time in way back in the early 80s, my dad and I think my mom was with us, we were driving down the interstate, and my dad looked up in the night sky and he said, "What is that?" And somebody in the audience actually might be able to identify what this was. But it was these three colorful lights in a triangular pattern, and it was large enough to span the entire interstate, as I recall. Yeah, and I think it was just basically primary colors, as I recall: red, yellow, and blue, if I remember correctly. And we sat under it for a long period. I think my dad actually pulled off the interstate just so we could sit under it. And, this was a stretch of road that we knew, routinely, had never seen anything like this before. And you couldn't see anything interconnecting the lights. So it was just these three isolated lights of different color up in the sky.
Weird.
I did talk to a friend at school the next day, and I was like, we saw the weirdest thing. He lived kind of on that end of town. He goes, "Hey, we saw that." And to this day, I still don't know what we observed, if it would have been weather balloons but it was, again, in a perfect triangle, and remember that vividly. But the fact that my dad was also, I even built a model of it. It was a very simple stick and ball model, but I took it to school for something, show and tell.
Sure.
I'm like, look at my alien spacecraft. I mean, but it is, to this day, I guess it's technically unidentified because I don't know what I saw.
It is. And I think the weather balloons gets thrown out too much. Everyone's like, it's a weather balloon. It's a weather balloon. It's like, okay, I get it. We have to try and figure out what it is. You can't just call it whatever. But it would be that particular pattern and those typical lights. it's a very common kind of thing to see. They're either in a triangle or it's a cigar shape. Like they have this really crazy log that you can actually, nowadays it's on the internet, you can put in what you saw, where you saw, describe the lights, and you can just read through everybody's descriptions. And of course, you're never sure who's being authentic or not, but
Right.
it's when you see enough of them in the same spot, you can kind of get, well, this might be a little hot spot or something.
No, you're right. Because if they were actually weather balloons, you think they'd be better at predicting the weather around here.
Yeah.
Right?
They're not. No, it's usually like, oh crap, it's here.
Can't be.
Too late. I think that still counts. As a UFO or UAP, whatever. I think you still saw something. It's very Barney and Betty over the highway with the seeing the aliens. So I like those. I think those are interesting.
I should point out, did you know that we're going to be hosting a UFO festival, a little UFO festival here in town?
No.
In West Virginia? Yeah. And the reason is one of the more significant writers about ufology back in the day was a local man named Gray Barker. And I keep hearing Gray's name come up on national TV programs and things. I'm like, my gosh, and he's one of us. He was born in Flatwoods, I think, and where the Flatwoods Monster's from. And he lived in Buchanan, I think, for a while. He was manager of our movie theater. So that's one of the things we hope to do is kind of pay tribute to his influence. And I always wonder, like, I haven't read his works extensively, but there's a side of me wonders if he was trolling, right? Or if he was, sincere. And either way, he was still influential. But a lot of people around here just, they simply are unaware of his existence. And so I don't know if I want to call it irksome, but it's curious that he's known probably better at a national level than he is actually locally. We'd like to change that.
Wild.
Right?
Especially for someone like him. Like he wrote if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So he wrote like the first book that really mentions the Flatwoods Monster story. But that one also has a little bit of skeptical people now that say that
he wrote The Silver Bridge. He was the first person to ever use the expression or describe men in black.
Yep.
And it's just crazy. So a lot of things can be traced back to his writing, his creativity and whatnot. So
I often wonder if he's like one of the big things that kicked off the crazy UFO, like the craze of the UFOs. And
you got to think that it contributed somehow,
Yeah, because everyone it's like they went crazy afterwards. I have I tracked down one of his original books that still has like the little cellophane cover and everything. It's like one of my little cherished pieces I have of my old library. It's fantastic.
I would love to have one of his original pieces, but they fetch a pretty price these days.
Yeah, I think I got lucky because it was an old library book, so it's not like perfect. But I don't think they knew what they had, in my opinion. Now, speaking of, move kind of in the same, I feel like they're all in the same: ghosts, aliens, and then cryptids. They all follow within this world of weird. Now, you have several cryptid creatures that you've created. Do you have? You're right. You literally have the biggest puppy dog cryptid of them all. Do you have a favorite one? I know that's like saying which one is your favorite child.
I cannot believe you would ask that. Oh no! Oh no!
I know. Tell your other children not to listen because I would like to know.
I'll tell you what has pleased me deeply. Actually, is that it's very contextual in that the hermit crab has proven to be very, very popular with the Fallout community. And we're approaching, I think, combined maybe about 500,000 views on some of the hermit crab reels that we've put out there. On the other hand, we've got a whole festival now for the Grafton Monster, that started, and so he's kind of a local celebrity, in various types of parades and things of that nature. I've gone to. I'm trying to think. I've been invited to schools. I'm trying to remember if he's appeared in a school yet, but you get the gist. So he's like a little community mascot because Grafton, West Virginia, is only 45 miles or so from where we are. So it's just kind of fun that different communities gravitate towards different ones. We're actually the moth the moth will be putting on display at the Mothman Festival this coming September. So obviously, I think that will be probably the most popular among our offerings there. So it's nice. There's a little something for everyone,
Yeah.
I don't think I personally have a favorite. Each one's a unique challenge. And, for example, the Grafton Monster is a creature suit, whereas the Mothman is more like a mounted piece of taxidermy, more like a statue. The most convenient one, and so sometimes I might love it because it's convenient and easy, is my Flatwoods Monster.
I have to show that one.
Oh yeah, by all means.
While you're discussing.
That's okay, yeah, because that's one I can actually put on and off myself, whereas I usually need assistance getting into these other costumes because they're a bit more elaborate. So it is nice to have one that you can actually fit in an automobile. And I can
you don't have like fingers hanging out your window,
right? I don't need a babysitter.
I can follow that car.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I think this one was just the head that I found, but oh man, is he cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to make. He's inspired by, I got to give credit, I don't know who the original artist is, but there's actually a beer can, and this will surprise no one that's friends with me, but there's a beer can called Braxy Ale, I think, and whoever developed the cartoon of the Flatwoods Monster for that kind of has this little sassy looking face, mischievous face, and I just thought that'd be fun to make as a mask.
So your face is in the head.
I'm in there, yeah. Now, what's funny is that we were talking to another artist recently, and they said, I don't understand. They said, your neck is so skinny. They're like, where
that's
are
exactly
you?
What I was thinking. Yeah.
They're like, where are you in there? And that's an optical illusion. So I'm wearing a black neck sleeve, and then I have a fake throat that I constructed on the front of that. Sneaky. So I have this skinny little neck that looks like it's impossibly small to hold up my head. But yeah, I'm in there.
I guess I remember I think you just posted like the mask. I think it was just the head, and then I saw like the dome and the back, and then you were like in an outfit. Oh my gosh. Because I think Braxy's probably on my personal top list. Just the story and how it appeared and that it's possibly an alien, not a cryptid. It's like this whole now time we've made her somehow.
Yeah.
Like how did that happen? Where did that part of the story come from?
It's that whole dress thing,
It's weird. It's like it's like a long tunic. Men wear tunics too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Braxy has a little splash. Like, I have to turn my little thing for a second here. You can see, if those that are watching, this is from the museum. So now I did one, but mine was just like a paper mache mask that I crafted. So,
but again, that's what you were wearing. I think the first year I met you, or maybe the only year. I don't think you had a chance to get back to Foshnot, right?
No, I haven't. I haven't created another mask because life be lifing. But I would. For me, also the community that's there, it's so small and in the bottom of the mountains. And I don't think I'd ever seen stars like that before in my entire life.
Oh yeah, there's no light pollution. Yeah, it's
all. And I never had like a community. Like I was dancing around in my mask, just having fun, listening to the bluegrass dance music, and the little lights were on in my mask, and I was having. And they just grabbed me and swooped me right in. And here's this big old Braxy just flying around.
Right.
My day.
Well, I remember you were interviewed as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, on the news.
Yeah, I remember seeing you and listening to your interview afterward. And I think after that, we got connected on social media, as I recall. But
that was just a total fluke. They just saw me standing there. I'm cool, but I'm not that cool. They saw my mask, and
it is such a special. So I guess for listeners, maybe Helvetia, West Virginia, is this little Swiss village in the mountains. Only 25 miles from here, but it takes a solid hour to drive to because it's down this little 2-lane road. But permanent population there is only about 78 people now, and they still carry on a lot of the traditions, and one of them being Foshnot. Which is basically ushering in spring and burning an effigy of Old Man Winter and wearing all these masks. It's kind of like the Mardi Gras of West Virginia is one way to describe it. But how I never knew about it until one day we were just out in the town and I came across their mask museum and I asked somebody, I said, what are all these masks about? And they said, well, it's for Foshnot. And I said, well, what's that? And Then I felt because I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have been coming to this for years had I known. So
Had I
now
known.
now it's can't miss for us. So it's for anybody who's curious about it, it's definitely worth the trek. It corresponds with the Easter calendar, so
Mhm.
it's the weekend before Fat Tuesday. I think is what they usually target is a Saturday evening.
It was now the pictures. It looks like it's even busier. So I went 2-3 years ago, and the pictures look even crazier with the
Yeah,
people.
every year they say it's record attendance, and
Yeah, that little town can barely handle without it busting at the seams. But
yeah,
I highly suggest it.
area.
If anybody's listening about it, if you can get over now that it's full of people at the end of the night and you're all standing around and the big fire's going and you're chanting, throw him in. But the minute that it hits and it has this effect, I don't know if it's because what they've made the effigy out of, but it sparkles. It's weird. I'm not one to believe in magic or things like that, but it had a weird effect. Like I was mesmerized.
Yeah, it's a
by the
magical
whole
event.
thing.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I lived a shelter city life, so other than
I should put in a plug too. If people think they may not make it out there, there's a great documentary that's making its way through some small theaters right now called "It's by 100 Days in Appalachia" or Appalachia, and I think it's entitled maybe "Foshnot in Helvetia" might be the name of the movie, but it's a nicely done documentary. So they're definitely that'll
cool
draw
history to read about, like the immigrants that came there and like German and Swiss and like to see the old black and white pictures. I think that was really cool to read about.
Even the tombstones in the cemetery are largely written in German, so it's not that far removed from that heritage at all.
There's a gentleman that is here in Columbus. He operates the Columbus Ghost Tours. Bucky Cutright. Have you ever met him before?
I have not.
Cutright. He lived there, and he knows the movie theater you mentioned with Gray Barker. Like he lived in that area, and he was telling me about the tombstones because I think he's the only person allowed to do the tours at Green Lawn here, that big beautiful cemetery in Columbus. So I got to talking about gravestone. I didn't even see the cemetery when I was there. So I'm like, well, now I have to make a trip through the mountains.
You can get there. You can get there on foot quite easily, and it's and that's definitely worth seeing as well. Yeah, it's a quaint little town. Still very much in touch with its roots, preserved. A little time capsule.
That's a good one. Yeah, the little buildings and everything. It's a cool little place. So we have, kind of done a little bit of a history kind of through the whole area here. So I found that's been quite a journey. Now the last little part, because you are also into science, it sounds like it's kind of a recent thing that we've started doing. I've started doing here on Creepy Confidential, and it's called the dream screen. Kind of trying to interpret. We talk about a dream, we interpret, and that kind of becomes an episode. But for a more brief version, our crazy brain tells us crazy things in weird ways. Do you dream, and do you feel that there's something behind dreams from us, from a science side?
Wow. My dreams, for the most part, are very pedestrian, like even boring sometimes. I'm not one to really, I'm not prone to nightmares or, anything of that nature. And it's interesting how many times, though, I have a dream or I'm in that hypnagogic state as I'm kind of awakening from a dream where I solve a problem in real life. And that's always really nice. Like my brain was still working on trying to figure something out even while I was asleep. And I wake up and then I have the solution to something. I'm like, hot diggity daffodil. I need to take more naps.
Right. There's something to it.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't know much about the science of dreams or EEG activity that's taking place. Or I just know that most people don't get enough of it. They don't sleep nearly enough. So
amen to that statement.
Whether it's college professors or college students, everybody benefit from some more.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I'm always interested to hear too, though, like I used to dream a lot, but my dreams are always very colorful and very vivid. I've dreamt in a comic book strip all night long before, which was with little word blips and everything. And then everything went silent for a very long time. And then I've met people who they either don't dream or it's black and white and that are very simple. You know, it's just like as if they're looking and standing around. And I'm always interested if that happens to other people. Are yours pretty like kind of like a movie or do they have effects?
Yeah, everything is like a movie to me though. So when I imagine things, you know, it plays out like a movie, or when I read a story, it plays out like a movie. So I guess I'm very visual in that regard, but it also means I'm also very slow. So I'm always there, lost in my head, imagining something.
Yeah.
And it is interesting though when you talk to other people who don't think the way that you do, right? You know, like you just think that your orientation, how you see and perceive the world, must be what everybody else sees, and then you meet people that they don't think in imagery, or you know what I mean, they think in words instead, or whatnot. And I just find that fascinating. It's weird to think that two people can be in the same household, but they're having very different experiences in terms of colors, sounds, just
ingesting the words. Alex of Strange Talk Radio was here, and we've been really diving into it. And she had an interesting thought: was you can tell people, imagine an apple, and some people can't imagine, or some people it's just like a flat. And she said, when I see it, it's almost like 3D. I can rotate it. I can see the colors on it. I can smell it. Where some people unfortunately don't have that.
It's interesting too, because some of this exists in pockets. No, I'll give you an example. I was talking with another gentleman who's a very good sculptor. This was at Mask Fest, which, if anybody's interested in some beautiful art, Mask Fest takes place in Cincinnati, Ohio each year in September. And he's really good at making these lifelike masks of, famous people or famous monsters or whatever. And it came out that we both have prosopagnosia, which is facial blindness. So I'm terrible at recognizing faces. It takes me forever to learn
Interesting.
who a person, and it's all context specific. So you could take somebody that I know okay, this is embarrassing, but this happened the other day. I don't want to say who it was because in the event, like, I can't believe you didn't recognize. But let me just say, like, somebody that I know quite well was in the wrong place, and so they were actually at my workplace instead of in their workplace, and so they pulled up to talk to me, and I literally didn't know who it was. It took me a long time to figure out who's this person talking to me from a vehicle. Whereas if I'd seen them at their place of employment, I would have known immediately. But they weren't supposed to be at my place of employment. That was
the equation was just mixed up. The pieces were wrong.
But in talking with this one gentleman, so prosopagnosia is kind of I don't know if it's categorized as a learning disorder, but everybody looks like a potato. But it doesn't seem to hold either of us back from sculpting likenesses of something. And I think that's interesting. So why is it that when we look at a person's face, we oftentimes can't remember details about their face, but if you put clay or something in our hands, then somehow we can reproduce it that way? I find that weird. Even myself, I can't explain why that would be. So
it's like, how come I can't describe that this person had this kind of nose? Like if you had to describe for one of those sketches, I'd be screwed.
Oh,
because I don't remember things long, but it's like you have to describe what it is. Where if you had a person who had clay, you're like, here, create this person that you think was the perpetrator, and you'd be like, done.
Yeah, because I'm not great at math, but in terms of geometry, that was always my stronger suit. And for me, a lot of it's geometrical. What's the relationship? How big are the eyes relative to the nose and the placement? It's all about proportions, I think.
Yeah.
And I can work off of that if you give me enough time. But yeah, it's just embarrassing. You run into somebody that you've known for years, and I don't know who they are. And then it dawns on me later,
oh my God, I'm a butthead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not funny.
Well, I don't think you're not alone.
Thank
I think
you.
lots of people are like that. Just to let you know, I
like
don't
it.
think you're alone.
I like it. I know a lot of people are really highly dependent on hairstyles. That when someone changes their hair, it will throw off a lot of people in their ability to recognize others. So
Yeah,
I like to
and
think
I
that they.
think people can't do that in my either. Or I'm like, wait a minute,
Who are you?
spidey senses are tingling.
Right.
I don't like this.
I'm with you.
Now, with your creatures, we're just we've covered a little bit of everything. Thank you for answering my dream question. Not everybody is really in the, into dreams or whatever. I want to make sure that everybody knows kind of what the next thing is that you're doing, that you want people to show up, that you want people to check out. Tell the Creep Nation about where we should go next for you.
Well, I have a few key dates here. First of all, if anybody happens to follow our Facebook page or our Instagram account, again, Dr. Jekyll's Institute of Monster Studies, we have published our calendar of events this year, but some of the ones that are more imminent coming right up. May 2nd and 3rd, you can find our pop-up museum at Wasteland Jamboree, which is estimated to be between 3,000 and 8,000 people gathering their Fallout fans in Sutton and Flatwoods, West Virginia. So again, that's May 2nd and 3rd. We'll have the Grafton Monster and the pop-up museum, correct, at the Grafton Monster Festival, and that takes place June the 13th. That's a Saturday. Come out and see the big guy. He gives good hugs and great fist bumps. I got a new camera system, so I won't trample your child. And then June, yes, you asked me to. And then June 27th will be our first UFO day here in Buchanan, West Virginia. So come on out for that. We're going to have about 30 or so vendors from, actually some are traveling from as far away as Illinois. So we know we're getting some very good talent coming in for that. And so yeah, we are excited. We'll have all of our creatures out that day too.
So you guys, that's very cool. You guys got a lot of stuff. I was trying to find the calendar to put up here real quick, because you guys have so many things. I don't know how you have normal jobs and then do this and then sculpt.
We don't know either. Yeah, we're not quite sure either, but
well,
it helps when you don't treat it as a job, right? So when it's your stress relief, it's my therapy. I can't be unhappy if I'm using my hands. I get lost in what I'm doing, and I can't think about anything that stresses me out. I'm just lost in the moment, making. So for me, it's like taking medication. I have to do it, or else I don't feel.
It's your mellow yellow. Yep, you gotta.
Yeah, it really is.
Chill it out. I love people. I think a lot of times they think that when you have hobbies or things, it stresses you out. I'm like, no, it's the opposite. When I'm researching for 4 hours, I'm in the moment. Leave me alone.
I think, and the thing that worries me is, sometimes we get offers to take commissions and make things, and so far I've not accepted any, only because that sounds like a job.
Yeah, you're like, nope. Changes everything.
I don't want those deadlines, those pressures. I think right now I'm going to be a little selfish and just do this for myself and share things with the community. So.
Yeah, I bet though, I'm not sure if you're familiar, we were briefly talking about TikTok. So they have TikTok Live and things like that. I bet that people would throw mad gifts at your Grafton Monster if he was on there and things like that. So it's not a job. It's people giving tips. So just so you know.
I was wholly unaware of that. He does have the Grafton Monster does have an alter ego called Huge Hefner. And
my gosh, I saw it. Was it the purple jacket?
Yes. So Christy sewed this immense purple robe. I have a little captain's hat and everything. So every once in a while, I'll show up at events as Huge Hefner, and then, we take off the robe, and then he's back into character as the Grafton Monster.
It is immaculate. I love it. I love between that one and him riding in the Let's Go Barbie car.
Oh
my gosh.
Gotta have a sense of humor.
My day. Absolutely makes my day, because I'm telling you, he would be a fan favorite, especially with his outfit.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much for joining in for the kind of after dark here, and for your questions. I'm so glad that we had a chance to chit chat back and forward.
Yeah.
Creep Nation, remember, everything is in the description below. You'll be able to watch this for our Patreon members. You'll be able to watch that immediately over on our Patreon if you are a Creep Nation member. Otherwise, you will have to wait for it to come out. But the audio version will be up shortly. So make sure you're kind of checking for those. But thank you so much again. And again, make sure you guys are following the Grafton Monster, Dr. Jekyll's Institute of Monsters, and I can't wait to see what you create next.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right. Bye, guys. We'll catch you later. One moment.